I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today is a very special episode. We are announcing the launch of our most recent book. Woohoo, come on. And we have author G. Cole on the line today. So very special interview. We'll be doing a deep dive into some of his writing about mental health in this. And for those of you that maybe haven't caught some of our previous work, so G. Cole is the CEO and also the Chief Neural Empowerment Officer over at Pathwaves. G, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Adam. It's such a pleasure to be here and be with you and everybody who's watching today and who watches it in the future. Appreciate it.
All right, G. So, I mean, we'll get into your writing, of course, and we'll do a deep dive into that, and we'll also talk about Pathwaves and really a serious and important issue surrounding mental health and what people maybe can do about it, or how they should maybe reframe the way that they're looking at things. But I just have to ask to get us kicked off. I mean, how do you feel? So, book is out finally. Long road, right?
I feel fantastic. It just came at a great time. I think, everything happens as it's supposed to. So I'm just glad to see it out and be giving out lots of copies. And I'm just happy to be a part of the whole mission.
It's awesome. Well, we'll get going and we'll start this episode the way that we start them all. We start with the Mission Matters Minute. So, G, we at Mission Matters amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's our mission. G, what mission matters to you?
So my personal mission and the mission of Pathwaves is to facilitate the world becoming a love-based place. And we do that one world at a time, which is each person's nervous system that we become in contact with.
It's awesome. Love bringing mission-based individuals and executives and experts on the line to share why they do what they do and how they do it as well, so we can all learn and benefit from the knowledge. So again, great to have you on. I guess let's just to get us kicked off, let's dive into the book. We'll start there. So what was your inspiration for your writing in this book?
Well, it's 2022 and the world has gone through a lot of trauma. Right now with what's going on in the Ukraine, post-COVID. Well, should I say post-COVID? It's like, which wave of COVID are we dealing with?
Right.
And people are really realizing how important mental health is. And so a statistic that we don't get to see very often is that the number of people that are committing suicide is rising drastically. The number of people that are reporting addiction issues is rising rapidly. The number of people that are having to miss work for mental health issues is rising rapidly. And, I have been on a mission to help people improve their lives through becoming in charge of their own nervous system, which is where everything starts. So, we have hacked into that system by monitoring people's nervous systems as they go through the psychological process. And, I'm speaking out. It's time. We have the technology. We have the ability to treat the mind and the body at the same time, because that's what we are. We are mind and body. And if you're only treating one half of that equation, you're only doing half the job. So it's vitally important that we all kind of wake up and stop having the psychology and the psychiatrists be separate from the doctors, and let's bring them together. We have the technology. We have the resources. All we have to do is implement, enact, and make it happen. And that's what I'm all about. And I think that's what my chapter in the book makes pretty darn clear.
Yeah, and speaking of the chapters, so the title, From Broken System to Bright Future, the mental health revolution we need is already starting. So maybe we spend just, I don't want to dwell on it too long, because I'd rather focus much more on the bright future and how the revolution is starting. But maybe just to kind of set the stage, tell us a little bit about some of the things that are maybe not working so well in the current system.
Well, the current system, there is really no widespread objective mechanism to understand what's happening in mental health. Everything is subjective. Everything is based on the practitioner you're dealing with and how they're feeling on that day and how you're feeling on that day. So
Mhm.
the data can't be collected in multiple sites and then studied like a science,
Mhm.
so that we can improve the outcomes. So, I mean, just at that basis, the system doesn't really have a chance to work well.
Yeah.
Now, the people in it are doing a great job. They're the psychologists, psychiatrists are doing amazing work with the
Yeah.
tools they have. And, it's time to help them get objective measurements of
Mhm.
mental conditions so that they have a frame of reference that everybody's drawing from, that everybody's reporting to, so that
Yeah.
we can study that data across multiple sites, take the data and improve our outcomes instead of, like I was just saying earlier, watching the numbers get worse and worse and
Mhm.
worse. So that's kind of, to me, how the system is broken, because
Yeah,
it's
and
not
I'm
put
glad
together
you
right.
bring up that point about the current professionals that are working within the mental health system. That it's not like these aren't bad people. So when we talk about
No,
like these are great people, and typically the individuals I've found that are, or many times that are drawn to working with individuals and just with mental health in general. Like sometimes these are some really really great people that have big hearts, and they really got into the field in the first place because they just want to help. Like they want to help. And because it's not an easy profession or field to work in necessarily, so they want to help. So I guess I'll make that generalization there. But then like you mentioned as well, the tools, right? So we all have different tools and in all of our prospective workplaces. So in this particular workplace and setting, maybe there's some opportunity areas there. So let's talk a little bit more about maybe that bright future and the revolution as already beginning. Because to me, that's optimistic. It's hopeful when we think about the last couple of years, what people have been through. The idea that we may be turning a corner and that maybe many have to some positive things happening, and maybe even in the midst of all the chaos and all the things that have happened over the last couple of years, maybe there's some good that will come out of it. So what are you seeing from your vantage point?
well, the I've been studying brainwaves and in correlation for since 2007,
Hmm.
and the data, if you sit in that realm and pay attention to what's actually happening with the nervous system while you're doing psychological treatment, and those are the kind of tools I'm talking about that
Hmm.
the current professionals who are doing amazing work
Yeah.
don't have. And so that's what I've been developing for the last
Mhm.
13, 14 years. And a part of that is we have created a way to do a mind mapping. That sounds kind of
Mhm.
weird, right? A mind mapping. So a lot of people don't believe the mind is a thing. So how do you map something that doesn't exist? Well, the truth of the matter is, the mind, thoughts, emotions aren't magic. Even though they are magical, it's just they're not magic. It's a biochemical function that we have in our bodies, and
Yeah.
therefore can be measured, graphed, tracked, and the patterns that are
Mhm.
correlative to mental health conditions can be logged and provided as a tool to help people know
Yeah.
how they're feeling, functioning, and even better, and train like the automatic pilot of their nervous system to function the way they want. And then remember, this is all happening while being measured with objective data. So that all the psychologists and psychiatrists and all the
Mhm.
professionals who've been doing such great work are now going to have such better information that could be
Mhm.
shared across different platforms, different cities, different countries, and with different issues at hand. So we've developed it, we're running it. I have a mental wellness center where we help
Mhm.
people reach peak neural performance
Mhm.
and maintain it with tools that they're using as they're walking around in their everyday lives to continually improve their lives.
I think this is also a great transition. So you mentioned some of the things. Let's go a little bit further into Pathwaves. So maybe tell us a little bit more about the company. Let's start there.
Well, it's a mental wellness center, and when people come in, we start by doing a QEEG. QEEGs have been around since the 70s and 80s. It's an analysis of the neural function of a person when they come in. And they also do a psychosocial history with one of our licensed mental health professionals, and we begin the treatment process. And it right then and there, we can tell people what's holding them back from being the best version of themselves. But wait a second, what is the best version of themselves? So we kind of have to go on a little journey to figure out who they think that is. I'm not going to tell you the best version of you. You get to decide. And then we're going to put you in the driver's seat for that automatic pilot that gives you your involuntary thoughts, feelings, and functions so that your body can support you in becoming the person you've always wanted to be. And so that's what we're doing in our office. You start with that first analysis. We kind of explain how your nervous system in its developmental process is stopping you from getting there. And then we map out a plan for you to get there within 1 or 2 weeks. So we're helping people create 20 years of change in 1 to 2 weeks by speeding up the process of neuroplasticity with our neuro feed forward systems, which is a computer, which we attach sensors to the scalp to measure the neural activity. And then they wear headphones and interact with a computer screen to be able to get more and more in charge of their own nervous system, to be able to create neural pathways to become, who they want to be and live their lives from, kind of like the rest of us now that have gone through pathways.
It's amazing. So I tell for those that are watching this and they've never done anything like this. Like, let's just say that they're just starting to go down that route of trying to achieve better performance or even just addressing mental health and just different ways of looking at this. Maybe they've only done, like, let's just say strictly traditional medicine in the past, where they're taking a pill or something else. Like, a new concept like this can be a little bit like daunting, even intimidating, in my opinion, because you've never kind of went out there and tried something a little bit different, right? But I want to circle back to something you said and maybe have you go a little bit further into this. But you've been researching and you've been working on this since 2007. Like, this is in order to get your process to where you can affect any type of personal or permanent change within a couple of weeks of working with Pathwaves. I mean, that's a big achievement. Maybe tell us a little bit more about kind of the process, just a little bit more granular, and maybe the science behind like how this works.
I have fully integrated psychology with neurotherapy. And I've done that with a team of doctors, acupuncture, psychologists, and we've been working for years. Yeah. So the process, I guess you kind of have to look at the beginning of all this is neuroplasticity. Do you know that word? Are you aware of neuroplasticity?
Neuroplasticity changed my life. So neuroplasticity, and correct me on my layman's term of how this works, but it's essentially the idea that your brain can evolve, create new connections, and get better possibly over time.
That is the textbook perfect answer for what is neuroplasticity.
Come on, take that.
You did great. That's awesome. So yes,
well, I'll tell you why I think it did change my life. What changed my life about it is, that's a relatively new concept. So when I was a kid, and maybe I feel like what I was told, rightfully or wrongfully, was that that wasn't really a well-known idea. So we were thought, or at least I recall being young and hearing that you're limited by your brain based on really just what you're born with, and that there's not much that you can do about that. So if you're not good at math, well, you're probably never going to be good at math because you were born that way. I remember hearing some things like that when I was very young. But when I understood the concept of neuroplasticity, I'm like, wait a minute, I can get better. This is amazing.
Well, so neuroplasticity is not just about the brain. It's about our entire nervous system. Neuroplasticity works differently in the different areas of our body and the different nervous systems that we have. Yeah. The brain is just a part of the central nervous system. And the brain and the spinal column are all one unit that are in one sac that shares cerebral spinal fluid. And somebody who's watching actually, made a comment about Daniel Amen and the book, The End of the Mental Illness, and how he's talking about the brain. And He's a great pioneer in the field of neuroplasticity and what we can do about it. And, I've read his good work. And, you're so right that it's a new concept. It wasn't actually fully accepted until 1995 when NASA proved that it was true with rats in space. And then it wasn't really accepted by the medical community and the scientific community until 2005. So it hasn't really been a thing until then. So it's, yes, definitely very new. And what we're doing, we're actually speeding up that process and putting you in charge of it. So most of the people that talk about neuroplasticity are going to tell you there's 4 phases, and those are the 4 phases of the life of neurons. And right now, you and I and everybody who's watching are creating new neural pathways through a process called neurogenesis, which is the creation of neurons. And so without any intention to how we're doing that, we're going to be creating our neurons in a fear-based, with our animal instincts being in charge of how we do that. And so our animal instincts, you've heard of fight, flight, freeze, and panic. Well, that's the top manifestation of our animal instincts. There's a lot going down below that. And basically it's all about being fear-based and wanting to be part of a tribe. Because, Homo sapiens been around since 300,000 years ago. And for about 295,000 years of that, if we were alone, we would just die. So we really needed a tribe. So our whole system is built on being fear-based and trying to belong to something. And if we don't, we start to feel like failures. We're going to, have a lot of problems, and none of it really matters anymore. And so a big part of our process is to teach you how to adjust your perspective on living and teach your unconscious that doesn't matter anymore. In fact, we have a little saying at the office, well, with all of my patients, that when the involuntary thoughts of fear come up, we just tell ourselves that doesn't fundamentally matter anymore. So that those letters DFM have become like a verb. We just DFM fear-based thoughts and then get to the truth and then tell our unconscious, hey, create my energy the way love would. What would love do with this information? And with that, through meditation, self-direction, and our process of speeding up neuroplasticity, we are helping people make that 20 years of change. So one session in our office is worth about 90 days of practicing a neuroplasticity self-direction technique. And so that's really how we base all that change happening so fast. And I have people come in on consecutive days. I have people fly in from all over the world. They come in for 2 weeks and they fit in 23 sessions. So they do 2 a day a couple of times. And they're 3 hours each. These are real change-oriented sessions. We're not here to play. We're here to make things happen. And we love doing it. And I mean, if you look at our website at pathwayslife.com, there's lots of, and actually all of our social media sites, lots and lots of testimonials. I mean, YouTube, our channel is just filled with testimonial videos. Really, because we do an amazing job. We've had to get used to miracles in our office every week. And it's all about hacking into that neuroplasticity and making it happen faster and putting you in charge of it so that the environment and the world around you isn't in charge of it anymore. So that's it's kind of a miracle. And I'm happy to be a part of it.
Lot to unpack on that one, G, but I'm definitely going to take with me what would love do with that information? Like, that's powerful. What would love do with that information? And miracles happening in the office all the time. I mean, it's all good stuff. It's all great stuff. And that's one of the reasons why we are really excited to publish your writing and really just to get that information out to the masses and to our audience. So big deal there. I know you have some other things that you're doing, as if this was not enough. Pathwaves was not enough. You're not doing enough. It's on my radar now that you got another brand here, Empower G. How did this come about?
So it's been my life's journey to help people stop living from fear. And Empower G is my brand to be helping people to make that transition without having to come into Pathwaves. And part of that is I'm publishing a book in the summer of this year.
Come on, back-to-back books already. 2 books in 2022. Let's go, G.
That's just the beginning, Adam. I want to grow up and be like you. I mean, how many books are you putting out a year? I got a long way to go catch up to you.
Oh, come on, man. No, it's all good. I want to know more about this book as well. So what's the next book you have coming out?
So the book that's coming out is The Path to Living from Love,
Hmm.
and it's really the journey that I've gone on. So my personal story and how I, with all the people that have come into my life, have built neuro empowerment, which is the name of our modality, which is helping people become in charge of the nervous system and be able to live from love instead of fear. And so it starts with my story and then talks about the journey. And then at the end of the book, there is a exercise for 7 days in a row for every person who reads it to apply to their lives to be able to start to live from love and begin to live a life that's anxiety free. So I'm really excited about this book coming out. And
Oh, that is exciting. We're definitely going to bring you back on the show for that once that's launched, because I want to definitely get our audience more of your content and more of your writing. And when you think about your writing overall, like when you think about whether it's the book you put out with us, whether it's the next book you have coming out, or the content that you're creating with Empowered G, like what are some of the things or some of the themes that you hope your readers or your listeners or your viewers, what do you hope they get out of this?
well, I mean, there's just so much.
Yeah, it's a big question, but it's relevant.
Yes. Well, first of all, yes, we don't have to live in fear. I mean, that's just another one that I often speak about and is in the book. And behind the book, I'm putting out an e-course on how to, again, get in charge and hack your neuroplasticity, which will be available through my website at empoweredg.com. And, we think, well, I say we think with words and we think in language. It's so important that we pay attention to how we're thinking and what we allow ourselves to say and how to think about ourselves and others. Because what people aren't really paying attention to is that everything happens on a neural pathway inside of your body. So all those thoughts you're having actually become part of you. So it's really, really important that you're very, very kind and very positive in as many of your thoughts and as many of your words as possible, because they're getting implanted into your body and through your nervous system. So that's another really important something for people to pay attention to. Another big takeaway is you can be in charge of your nervous system. You don't have to be a slave to it.
Yeah.
I mean, whoa. I mean, I in minutes I can teach techniques which start to help you impact how your nervous system functions like that. And so when you start to practice that every day, you get to be a master pretty quick. So it's easy. It's not hard work. It does kind of require paying attention to the truth.
Right.
And, you get to live the way you want, which is really exciting to me. It has nothing to do with my environment. It has everything to do with what I'm creating from within. I'm sure a lot of people have heard that, true joy is an inside job. And I'm going to have to tell you that I watch that happen on the screen because I'm mapping the neural activity pretty much every day. And it's so true. I've helped over 2,000 people change their lives and start progressing towards that optimal goal of peak neural performance. And, I got to tell you, it's so much fun. It's so exciting. And a big message in the book to the world is, hey, I'm just one guy doing this. I have a team, got a great team. Anna Margarita Martinez is my chief marketing officer. Ryan Landau is a licensed mental health counselor. He's my partner. His wife, Judy Passes, and Naji Lee. I just have an amazing team in my office, which is helping people make these amazing transformations. And I need help. All these psychologists and psychiatrists and scientists that have been out there doing the amazing work with the tools they have, I invite them to contact me Let's collaborate. Let's work with these tools because it's time. We have the ability to make incredible, lasting change to the whole world. Because I look around and watch all this tribal, fear-based activity going on the news and all these other countries, and we don't need it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's time. We have the resources. We have the ability to help everybody move to a place of creating joy all day long, every day.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no reason for it. So I need help. I need people like you, Adam, to get the word out, get the people to join us,
Mm-hmm.
because our mission does matter.
Yeah.
And, I love what you're doing. I love how you're bringing people together, and let's keep moving in that direction because there's just no reason for all this fear-based. It causes people to do just horrible things to each other, and it just doesn't make any sense anymore.
Yeah, love the positivity every time we've ever spoken, G, and just your writing and the things that you're doing at Pathwaves. I mean, you can feel it. I mean, it comes through the authenticity, how much you want to help, and how much good you're doing. Over 2,000 people already who you've helped, and your team has helped. I mean, it's amazing. It's a big deal. And one thing that I don't like to leave out, and I try to include as often as we can on this show, because we talk a lot about business, we talk a lot about how we're improving things in the marketplace, and we focus on this, and all of this is important, of course, but the philanthropy part, the philanthropic side of things, and the charity part, I don't like to forget it. And I know one of the things that you're active with is the Phoenix Life Project. Maybe tell us a little bit more about that as well.
So before I got there, Pathwaves started a foundation in 2018, and we donate 1% of our sales to that to help people with mental health issues in any way we can. And so that you can contact Pathways Foundation through our website at pathwayslife.com. And I don't know if you heard about in Surfside, Florida, Miami Beach, a condominium actually collapsed.
Yeah.
And in the rubble, there was a 15-year-old boy. And that I've had the privilege of treating that boy. He came to me 8 months after the collapse, and he had been through the traditional treatment, and the therapists and all the psychologists, psychiatrists were doing amazing work, helping him, get through that. And, I've, with our process in 10 days, did as much or more than they did in those 8 months. He and his father, who also came through, started the Phoenix Life Project to help bring effective trauma mental health treatment to victims of disasters worldwide. So in collaboration with the Pathways Foundation, I'm on the board of the Phoenix Life Project. And we are raising money to help the victims because, what happens in these disasters is lots of people show up with water and food and physical and material help. The mental health side of it is just so difficult because in today's world, the best treatment modalities require the victims to talk about what happened. And they just don't want to talk about what happened. It was horrific. It was absolutely horrible. And so in our modality in neuroempowerment, with the integration of neural therapy, we don't have to talk about it. We can just help them develop techniques to get in charge of the nervous system, to release the trauma from their bodies, from the emotional centers of their minds and bodies. So it is no longer impacting how they feel and function on a daily basis. And so the Phoenix Life Project and Pathways Foundation are working hard to first treat all the people. We're raising money to treat 3,500 people that were affected, which includes the firemen and the policemen and the nurses and the doctors that were all involved with treating everybody over there. And I mean, it was a horrific situation. I mean, they were there for almost a month, going through the rubble and pulling out, parts of people. And it just affected people in such a horrific way. And, we're making a beautiful, serious impact to help those people get back to a state where they're not suffering on a daily basis. Sometimes we kind of banter around in our office, what's the worst pain? Is it emotional pain or is it physical pain?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the reality is when you are feeling emotions, you can also feel it in your body.
Mm.
And we help people pay attention to that. And so whatever you're thinking and feeling is actually affecting your physical health also, and vice versa. So we also want to take care of our physical health so that our mental health can be at its peak too. So
It's
I'm
great.
very excited about the future of the Phoenix Life Foundation. As soon as we're done with the 3,500 people that we're targeting now, we're going to be looking for other disasters, and obviously we'll be looking at the Ukraine and other places where we can help, because the mental side is just so difficult for people to deal with, and we have a great process where people don't have to talk about it. They can just relieve themselves of the effect of the trauma, and then it's a lot easier to talk about. So they can work a lot more effectively with their favorite therapist that wants to do the talk therapy and do the trauma work. So.
Always a fan of entrepreneurs and executives that, you've been blessed and now you found a way to take your expertise in your work and your life's work, right, to then go on and be a blessing to others. In this case, you're helping, trauma victims, and you've helped as many as you can there. Then you'll look for another problem to solve. I mean, I think it's amazing. So that being said, G, I mean, you're a busy guy. I mean, obviously Pathwaves, the book that you just released with us, and then you have another book coming out. I mean, you're obviously very active in philanthropy. I mean, what's next? I mean, what's next for G? What's next for the initiative?
Well, we are working on creating a wearable so that you don't have to come to our offices to be able to get this valuable treatment. And so I'm going to have to give you a stay tuned on that. I'm
a sucker for wearables, G. Don't get me excited about this. I love wearables. I'm in. What's going on? Tell me.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a cap that'll have the sensors inside with a little headphones, and it'll read your brain waves, and it'll provide the QEEG analysis of where you're at today. And then on your app, you'll be able to dial up, well, I guess something that happened to me like 10 years ago is impacting how I feel today. So let me run this program and we'll get rid of it so you can be, again, the best version of yourself. It's kind of like, hey, we work out every day to get our six-pack abs. Yeah. But let's work out every day to get our six-pack mental fitness abs. And
I'm in.
This wearable, we got to make it happen on a daily basis. So that's coming up. Be sure to, alert you to when it's coming out.
I'm in. Well, G, it's been, first off, great having you on the show, an honor to publish you and to get your work out there so that our audience and the readers can learn more from you and what you do. That being said, if somebody's watching this or listening to this and they want to follow and connect with Pathwaves or Empower G, or like just in general, how do people connect with the brand overall?
So it's at the website, pathwaveslife.com. You can also, contact us, DM us through Instagram, message us through Facebook. At the website, you can just hit the contact us. Our email is info@pathwaveslife.com. We also have Get Balanced at pathwaveslife.com. There's the phone numbers 305-858-6616. We have lots of people standing by to help. So
it's awesome.
I look forward to interacting with anybody who wants to collaborate or to improve and get peak neural performance.
It's great. And we'll put all that information in the show notes so that our viewers can just click on the show notes, the links in the show notes, and head right on over and check out your work. And speaking of the listeners, if this is your first time with Mission Matters or engaging with our platform, we're all about bringing on entrepreneurs, executives, and experts and having them share, why they do what they do, how they do it, what we can learn from it. And if that type of information and content sounds interesting to you, we welcome you to hit that subscribe button, because we have many more mission-based individuals coming up on the line, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And G, again, congrats again on being published. So excited to have your work out there, and thanks again for coming on the show. Thank you.
My pleasure. And Adam, thank you for what you do. I really appreciate and love what you're doing. You're bringing so much valuable and vital information of the world. And it's just, it's great to be, I kind of feel like I'm part of your mission now. So it's great to be a part of it. So thank you.
Fantastic. We're part of each other. So thank you.